welcome to Seismic Cinema, and we're joined by Paul.
aka Sick Boy, but I'm back feeling better again.
That's good. Glad to hear it. So put your feet up on the fledgling Rebels diorama, grab the new Orton baby and run and show it to the Queen, and prepare to pretend you're not the father and steal some Imperial wages.
I thought you couldn't read your handwriting there again. I thought you were going to panic.
I basically couldn't. Oh well. So for new viewers or watchers or listeners, any of those people, we are Seismic Cinema. We're two Scottish YouTubers who forget their lines, can't read their writing, and we're just kind of genuine failures. But we're trying our best. To the world of podcasting.
I think that statement only counts for 50% of us.
Daniel. So we're trying something a bit different today, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But Paul, we're wanting to start a new wee segment in our weekly or bi-weekly podcasts. And what are we watching? So could be TV shows, new and old, movies, new and old. Obviously, we're reviewing certain things together, but there may be other things that we're watching or have watched that we have in common. So you're up first.
Okay. Well, I know the one we've both been watching, the Jeffrey Dahmer kind of documentary.
Yeah.
I still find it weird that Quicksilver's murdering people.
I've only watched the first two. It's obviously they're quite long episodes, so I'll watch it over the next few weeks, I would say.
Yeah, it's a weird ride from start to finish. Oh, I'm only in episode 6.
Yeah.
And it just gets weird, and it's not pleasant viewing, but I'm not seeing the shock factor that everyone else is seeing that seems to be popping up on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, Aileen watched it all in one day, so
really.
she when she's making her candles and her wax melts by from Serenity Scents Candle Co. She tends to just put things on in the background. I'm kind of fearing for my safety a wee bit though. If you don't hear from me, you know where I went.
Yeah, you're in a vat of acid.
So what else? I'm still watching Welcome to Wrexham. I'm trying to catch them as they come out. Have you been watching that?
I watched the first 3, but I've not caught up with it since. How is it?
Yeah, I still enjoy it. They've just actually went to a home game, so that was quite cool. And they were on doing a speech, and Rob was talking in Welsh. He's been learning a bit of Welsh.
Oh, I was just getting the bit where they were talking about the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like E4 Williams.
They're funny. They're quite funny. Talk about Ryan Reynolds. Do you see that Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine in Deadpool 3?
I did see a wee snippet of something, about half an hour ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true? I thought it was maybe just a rumor.
Ryan Reynolds was sitting in his living room just promoting Deadpool 3. Then he just turns around and Hugh Jackman, there's feet on the stairs and behind him and you can't see who it is, and he just goes, "Hey Hugh, you want to be in Deadpool 3? Or how do you want to play Wolverine one more time," or something like that?
That was a terrible Ryan Reynolds impression.
As soon as I was about to do it, I knew you were going to say that. So anyway, moving on. She-Hulk, I keep calling it my guilty pleasure show because I don't think it's that great, but I still watch it every week. I don't know where you're at with that.
I'm up to date with it. Yeah, I don't know.
It's watchable. It's watchable, but it's not good, in my opinion.
Like some bits is funny, and then some bits is just horrendously cheesy, and I'm like, I don't know if I like it or not.
I thought the first episode was really good, with when the Hulk was in it and stuff.
Yeah, and then it just veered right off from that.
But we're thinking of maybe doing a season review, so we'll stem that there. Just try to think if there's anything else. I started watching off the back of Welcome to Wrexham. I watched the first couple of episodes of Always Sunny, I watched a few episodes a few years ago. Have you ever watched that?
I've watched a couple of episodes of the first season, and
Yeah,
it looks so low budget in the first season.
it is good though. It's funny.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've been watching recently. We talked
did you
about.
watch any
Sorry,
movies? Movies?
I've not really been watching movies a lot recently, which I know is a cardinal sin for a podcaster. But I think we have been focusing a lot on TV with the two shows we're going to talk about this evening. We
Yeah,
talked about that Smile film looking quite sinister.
yeah. I want to see Smile and Barbarian. I've seen quite a few people talk about that as if it's like really good.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the two kind of ones I want to see.
Rings of Power. I watched the first episode, intended to watch the second, and I literally just can't bring myself to watch it. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan, as I've stated before, and I don't know. I'm just not hearing great things about it in general.
Yeah, I think I seen it was Justin from Wheel of Horror, and he said it was another episode of something almost happening, but didn't, or something like that, as if it's building up to something, but something never happens.
It's made a grave error going up against House of the Dragon, though, hasn't it?
House of the Dragon and Andor.
Yeah, but the fantasy kind of battle because everyone's naturally like comparing them and talking about them, and they're not coming out smelling of roses.
Yeah, like I thought that the first episode was quite promising, but
Mm.
um, I don't know because I don't think I'm into my Lord of the Rings that much. Like all of your references and stuff, I just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad we agree on that. I've never quite got the hype. I quite enjoyed like the Hobbit films, and I really like the music in them, and I'm sure I would enjoy it. I don't know. I think the
like
length
Ed Sheeran.
that's one of the reasons. Yeah, I like
Hmm.
that song. It's called like Battle of the Five. No, it's is it called Battle of the Five Army? It's the one. It's Billy Boyd. You know, he plays one of the hobbits. He sings it.
Is that not a name?
Last goodbye or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, you should look that up on Spotify. The Last Goodbye is pretty good. So that kind of brings up. I don't think there's anything else I'm really watching right now. Once Andor and House of the Dragon finish, I'd like to get back into doing a few more movies, but it's kind of taking up a lot of the time at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? It's a good time. It's a good time.
Yes, it's a good time. So without any further ado, we are going to try a new structure. We've been doing House of the Dragon and Andor reviews, and we thought, well, why not throw them together, see how that goes, and then it frees us up to have some cool guests on and talk about other shows and films and stuff as
Yeah,
well.
and also Paul's thumbs are sore after having to edit all these videos,
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So,
especially when Colin's internet freezes.
right, I'm at my own house tonight, so we won't have any more of that. So, what would start with House of the Dragon? Because Andor, you missed the review, which I did with Cody because you were food poisoned. So we haven't really talked about Andor at all. So it'd be good to have a slightly longer discussion about that. But if we get into House of the Dragon, episode 6.
Episode 6, yeah. So, right, straight off the bat, right, like the first scene where Rhaenyra's giving birth,
Mm-hmm.
me and Scarlett were sitting there eating our dinner, and all you could hear was like the squelching, and it was like, oh, put us right for dinner.
I say that to Aileen like, every time we watch House of the Dragon because we tend to eat quite late during the week. And I said, like, Game of Thrones, any Game of Thrones property is not a good dinner entertainment.
No, I think Scarlett was having spaghetti or something, and she was just like, ugh.
Yeah, they like to throw you right into it. So obviously, this is the episode where the much awaited time jump has happened. So how did you acclimate? I know you watched this before me. So how did you acclimatize to the changes?
Well, I think because I knew it was going to happen, it wasn't actually that big of a deal. Like I've seen the actresses like side by side in like
Yeah,
different promo shots and stuff, and you kind of because you know what's happening before it happens. It wasn't really didn't really take you out of it as such.
Did you think that was the right decision that we knew it in advance?
I think so, because I think if you didn't know in advance, you'd be like, what the hell just happened? Like, who's this person giving birth? And then they'll just randomly have to, like, well, with some sort of exposition, say, well, this is Rhaenyra. And then you'd be like, this is weird.
Yeah. I think also the fandom grew very attached to the younger actors as well. So
Yeah.
I think having that heads up that it was going to happen was quite useful.
Yeah, it kind of softened the blow. Like I was saying in the last episode, like, sad to see the younger ones go. They did a good job, but equally, the ones that came in are doing a pretty good job carrying it on as well.
There's talk of them returning in like flashbacks in the future, so I'd be open to that because it's been done before.
Yeah.
There was like Cersei flashbacks in Game of Thrones, that kind of thing, and Ned Stark as well.
Oh yeah, and the guy that was Ned Stark, he's in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. He was also in a show called Behind Her Eyes I watched on Netflix.
Never watched that.
Yeah. So even though we knew the actors were changing, there was still, it had only really been publicised for Rhaenyra, yeah? Right
Yeah.
name. And Alison.
After 6 weeks, we got it.
I know. So Sir Kristen, the actor, didn't change.
No, but he got a haircut, so that made him age terribly.
And I've seen the memes that Viserys is on his transition into Gollum.
Oh yeah, he's looking awful, isn't he? The hair and makeup department are really doing a number on him.
Do you think it's a bit unrealistic that he's still alive after all the falls in the previous one?
Oh, I don't know. You're a king. You've got all the medical expertise of the realm trying to keep you alive. So somebody might have came up with something to buy him a little more time. Who knows?
Do you think they've kept him in for plot convenience? Nah, because they planned it. It was ill. They've planned the physical changes, so it's obviously been planned out.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for like episode 7 to come along, and he'll like have like a peg leg or something.
Paddy Considine did an interview, and he revealed what is actually up with him. Apparently, it's like some form of like leprosy.
All right, okay.
Because we weren't sure whether it was like dragon scale. Is that what it's called? Great dragon scale. I just made up another thing. That's something else, though, isn't it? Did they not make something out of that?
Was that?
Did they not make stuff out of like dragon scale, or is that in Harry Potter? Maybe I'm mixing up that fandom.
What are you talking about?
I'm sure one of the franchises are like things are made out of dragon scales. But I don't know. It's total rubbish. So it threw us right into it. As we mentioned in the intro, Rhaenyra's asked to take the baby to the Queen right away, and without being told, I think it was quite obvious why that'd be the case.
Yeah. Well, actually, see, when it first happened, I thought, because I didn't know at this point, Rhaenyra had 2 other kids. So I thought when this was happening that the Queen was going to like kill her child.
Well,
I thought that's what was happening.
Alien thought that as well, actually. She thought they were going to start doing what they did in season 2 of Game of Thrones, where they took out Robert's children.
Aye, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was going to happen. I didn't realise she had 2 other boys.
Yeah. It did take me a bit of time to acclimatise, because when they showed you, I forgot his name. Who's her lover?
Sir Harren.
Harren, yeah. At first, I thought he was Sir Kristen, like, because obviously I expected Sir Kristen to be aged up, and I was like, surely she's not with him now after what went down. So I quickly got my head around it, and then Viserys is quite the doting grandfather, though.
Yeah, he seems to have softened up in his old age.
He's saying the child's got the dad's nose.
I think that's just out of denial. I think that's.
Yeah. So We don't like going linear after that episode we'll never forget about. So it's maybe good to just jump right into that courtyard scene.
Oh, with Sir Kristen and Sir Harren and the boys.
That was awkward, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, how nasty Sir Kristen became.
He's proper salty. Like he hates the kids because of the fact that he wasn't with Rhaenyra.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because like at the start of the season, me and you were like, "Oh yeah, he's a good guy, and that he probably won't last long. He's like the epitome of the goodness in this show." And it's
Nothing bad. Yeah,
just
nothing
flipped on its
bad.
head.
Sorry, that was me. That was me that time. I'll hold my hand up.
Was it?
I interrupted you there. I'll hold my hand up.
That's all right. I was just saying it's just weird. It's like flipped on its head, and he's turned into the bad guy.
Nothing bad really happened to him though. He just kind of got turned down by Rhaenyra, and then off the back of that, he beat what was the guy's name?
Sir Harren.
No, not him. The one in the previous episode.
Oh, Joffrey.
Joffrey. How did I forget? Beat him to death, and obviously Rhaenyra's husband, the Sea Snake's son, he's decided to name yet another child Joffrey.
I was like, oh no, surely not. Oh.
So that guy obviously meant quite a lot to him, but he does seem to have bounced back. He's got a new man in his life.
Yeah, what's his name? Carl.
So he was yeah. So he brought him back to the house. He was out in the yard as well. So sorry, we digress. Back to that courtyard scene. So it was Sir Kristen was battling against the oldest son.
Yeah, because the kids were fighting like straw mannequins, straw targets, and I think they wanted a bit to fight an actual real opponent. So the two Viserys and Alicent's boys ended up fighting them, and Sir Kristen was just taking the mickey at them, basically.
Yeah, that scene was quite intense. I thought Sir Kristen was. I thought he was going to die in that scene.
Yeah, it wasn't far off because what was it, Sir Harren came in and said that Sir Kristen should teach, well, basically his boys, how to fight as well, because he was like special treatment towards Alicent's boys.
Yeah.
And then Sir Kristen told Alicent's kids to spar with Rhaenyra's kids, and he basically was telling Alicent's oldest to like beat the crap out of Rhaenyra's oldest boy.
Mm-hmm. I understood it all when I was watching it, but do you know, I think I'm finding this quite difficult to like remember everyone's name and connection now. Everything's just became so meshed together.
Yeah, it was like Aegon, and there's Aemon, and Jace, and I can't remember the other one is.
See, when I saw Alicent's daughter, I thought that was Rhaenyra. There was a real resemblance between her and the younger Rhaenyra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the name? Helena.
Yeah. Do you not think Aegon is basically like a mixture of Joffrey and Viserys, Daenerys' brother?
A wee bit, yeah.
He looks a lot like Viserys from Game of Thrones.
He looks a lot like Finn. He looks a lot like Mike from Stranger Things with a blonde wig.
Do you know who he is?
David Tennant's boy.
Yeah.
Aye.
I was just checking that you knew who he was.
He's got the David Tennant nose.
Right, so what else actually happened in the episode? So there's obviously a lot going down at the end. I'm just trying to think back to the middle. So obviously the courtyard.
Window.
Yeah, the window incident. Yeah. Those
It's
poor,
funny.
those
Those
poor,
poor peasants getting rained on below.
the poor pedestrians. I think that's the same window that Tomlin jumped out in Game of Thrones.
It was.
Yeah,
It was. Yeah.
that,
It's funny how some kings come and go out that window.
yeah, that window's seen some things, isn't it? So the courtyard scene doesn't go down very well with his dad, the Hand of the King, and is it Al? Who is it that sneaks out? Is it Renee that sneaks out that wee side door again? The one she went
Yeah.
on her walk with Damon,
Mm-hmm.
and she's listening into that. So basically, he resigns as Hand of the King, doesn't he?
Oh, he tries to.
Yeah, but they're going to leave. They decide they do leave eventually, which ties into the end of the episode.
Oh yeah, because he has to take his son back to Harrenhal,
Mm-hmm.
so that he can do his duties as like kind of Lord of the Keep.
Yeah, and obviously
But he's still the hand.
he can't really show his face around there now. I wonder who'll be the new Hand of the King. Do you think it'll be his son?
It might be possibly. I think it might, or maybe even the. I don't know. Maybe what's his face? Like the Lannister. The Lannister, one of the Lannister twins.
Yeah, they seem to be part of the High Council.
Yeah.
So we mentioned him briefly there. So Damon's also made quite a few big life decisions.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see him with a family in this episode.
He looked so happy and chilled, didn't he?
Well, wouldn't you be if you had no obligations and you had a dragon and just
Like he obviously wasn't fully happy because there was this whole thing with like Dorne, wasn't there?
yeah, as if there's like another kind of rebellion coming.
Yeah. So he does seem quite happy, quite chilled, but when they kept emphasizing the fact that his wife, the sea snake's daughter, that she was pregnant, I just had that feeling that something was going to go down.
Did she? I didn't see that. I just thought she was gonna have another baby and that'd be it.
Nah, they mentioned it at least twice, and I was like, if they're bringing your attention to it that much, surely something's going to go down.
Yeah, it was a shame too because I liked her as a character. She was starting to come into it more, and
Don't get attached, Paul. Don't get attached.
I quite liked Sir Harren as well.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, she's obviously times move so fast in this season. She was like the young girl that Viserys was meant to marry, wasn't she?
Yes, yeah, when she was like 12 years old.
And then Damon started eyeing her up at the wedding, didn't he? Before the brawl.
Yeah, they're getting a bit flirtatious.
So that was the hint there. So obviously they'll get married. They've got two kids. Was it 3 and 1 in the way, or was it 2 and 1 in the way?
I think it was 2 and 1 in the way. It was 2 daughters, wasn't it?
Yeah. So she obviously has a similar situation in the birthing room that Rhaenyra's mum had, and basically the baby was stuck. Is that my understanding? And they couldn't.
I think so. Yeah, the baby was stuck.
Yeah, and she decided to go out in a blaze of glory.
Quite literally.
It was a sad scene, wasn't it? The dragon getting told to burn his beloved, and not wanting to do it, but doing it anyway.
Yeah, because she had to tell it about, like 5 times.
Yeah.
But by the way, she moved pretty quick for somebody that... Because, like, one minute she was there, and one minute she was out in the sand running towards it, and nobody stopped her.
Yeah.
I found that a bit weird, because, like, Damon was just, like, he was at the window talking away to the guy, and then the next minute he was like, where's she gone?
You can never quite get Damon, like, even when he seems happy and seems like he cares about people, he might always have another agenda. Like, there's a good chance him and Rhaenyra will probably still end up together, or at least working together.
Yeah. They seem to have some sort of compulsion towards each other.
Yeah, I think they're both kind of been shunted by the family, and they both have power aspirations.
Yeah, so I think maybe if Viserys does kick the bucket, I think they might make a play together, and then maybe some infighting will start once he kind of sees power. I don't know.
It's going to kick off though, isn't it? Because you've got Alicent on a power trip. You've got Aegon, who's should really be the next in line, and then you've got Rhaenyra. You've got the Sea Snakes in the mix. You've got my character, my screen name Laris, doing the middle finger job.
He's the worst, isn't he?
He's just sleazy, look, isn't he? At first,
I mean, like even when we were talking about Aegon, he didn't even want to be. He doesn't want to be. On the
Yeah. So there's a bit of a weird dynamic between the children as well. Like the middle child, Viserys' middle child, he gets kind of bullied a bit and doesn't have a dragon, and they give him is that a goat or something?
Pig.
A pig. Sorry, I'm mixing up with Andor.
No, to be fair, there was a goat in the episode, but a dragon set it on fire.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and you really do need to be you need to be concentrating when you watch House of the Dragon. I really love the show. One thing I'm still not keen on, and I've actually said this in the first episode. How do you think the dragons look? Like the kind of dragon riding scenes?
I don't know. I can't remember what Game of Thrones looked like, but
I feel like it looked better.
I know what you mean. Like, see when they're actually riding them, they do look fake. Like, because there's like and like a physical saddle.
Yeah,
It looks a bit weird. Whereas I think Daenerys was just riding them without a saddle.
It looks a wee bit cartoony. It's not enough to. I don't think those scenes are as good as they could be. But I think everything else is it still lacking a bit of action for you, or is the political intrigue and the manoeuvring keeping you entertained?
Yeah, I'm still liking all the kind of cloak and dagger stuff. I thought there might have been a wee bit of action at Harrenhal when your character had what was it? He'd recruited a bunch of people that were on like death row.
Yeah,
and just basically cut their tongues out and sent them on their way to burn the Lord's chambers.
yeah. Because at first I thought we were still in King's Landing when the fire happened. I didn't realize we moved location, but that was pretty. He just that's probably one of the most brutal things we've seen. Like, just burned his brother and dad alive, and his dad was like a really nice guy.
Yeah, I was going to say I quite liked him because he wasn't like Otto, where he was kind of like scheming all the time. He was just kind of like, here's my advice, take it or leave it.
Yeah, Otto's obviously still out there, probably going to come back in at some point.
You know what? He'll probably come back since what's his name? Sir Strong.
Yeah,
Lord Strong.
Mr. Strong.
Mr. Strong. He's gone.
So just trying to think, is there anything else? House of the Dragon. Did you watch the promo for next week?
No, I did not. I don't watch any promos.
Right, I won't mention them then. So
just know Rhaenyra and Lenore fled to Dragonstone, didn't they?
Oh yeah, that's a big part of the episode we forgot that she just decided to leave along with her husband and her husband's man as well.
Yeah. Do you think she knows about Sir Harren yet?
I don't.
She wouldn't know yet. No.
They had a Dragonstone because they were going up the same
stairs
in the second episode.
Yeah, where Rhaenyra and Daemon meet head to head.
So this is probably Daemon and Rhaenyra will probably reconvene in episode 7, I would say.
Yeah.
There's only 4 episodes left.
I know, but can sometimes have too much of a good thing. But it's I seen something's meant to be on 3 to 4 seasons.
There's at least a second season that has been renewed.
Yeah, and there's going to be another time jump with new characters after episode 8.
Is there?
Yeah, and then that's the cast going forward for the foreseeable.
What? So there's another actresses for Alison and Rhaenyra. Surely they're staying.
No, I think they're thinking. I think they're.
Nah, they're not.
Getting
Surely
changed
not.
again.
No, they're not.
I think so. That's what I've seen, but I could be wrong.
I wouldn't believe that because I've not seen anything about that at all. So, but we'll see. But our timekeeping's worked out pretty well. We're literally at just past 30 minutes. So we said about keeping this to no longer than an hour. So that worked out pretty well.
Awesome. So Andor.
So timestamp. We're waiting quite a while for this because obviously you weren't feeling well last week. So me and Cody took the reins for the review of the first 3 episodes. So I think before we get into this week's episode, we should talk briefly about the first 3 episodes, more about your opinion because people can check out. There is, I don't know why I'm pointing. It's not anywhere above or below me or to the sides. But Paul, your thoughts on the first 3 episodes just before we know where you're at.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say you and Cody done pretty well in the episode together,
despite all the freezes.
Yeah. If Cody wants to ever come back on again, I'll be very surprised.
He's very easy to chat to and have a conversation with. Obviously, we'd never met him before we did the House of the Dragon one. So, behind the scenes maneuvering. We did this 2 episodes on the same night.
I know, and I had to unfortunately dip out with food poisoning / migraine.
So your thoughts?
Well, I really enjoyed the first 3 episodes. You can see it building and building and building. I think the characters are really interesting as well. I want to know more about them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, especially like the 3rd episode, and you probably know why, just because there's more action in it. Yeah. But I'm liking it's kind of a bit deeper, a bit darker. Star Wars has brothels now. It kind of insinuated there's adult relationships.
Yeah.
And I like to look at the town on Ferrix. And I really liked how like you were saying about how the flashbacks kind of tied in.
Much better than the bath scenes in Book of Boba Fett.
And I wasn't too bothered about the Scottish people.
I don't know. I just think was it Tim?
Yeah, Tim the scumbag.
He just took me out. I felt like I was watching like literally a soap, Emmerdale.
River City.
Don't know. I'm just not used to hearing like. Actually, what am I talking about? Ewan McGregor's Scottish, like. You know, they were just like really. Do you not think they were just really, really Scottish?
He was like I'm from Glasgow.
Yeah. I think he is from Glasgow, so
probably sounded like it. I think Chloe, were you saying something in the last episode about how it would annoy you if there was like Scottish people in like House of the Dragon?
And then I remembered that like Rob Stark's Scottish and all these things.
And one of the Kingsguard in House of the Dragons is Scottish, and one of the guys small council is Scottish.
I'm just not very good with accents. not even our own accents. I'm not very good with. Do you ever wonder, like totally off topic, but do you ever wonder what people think of like our accents? Like, I'm more used to my own voice now that we do the podcast, but I'm like, do I sound really Scottish to someone who's not from Scotland, or do I not?
I think compared to other parts of Scotland, we probably sound pretty posh. Yeah. Like we don't sound chuchterish.
No, I did work in Logilped for a bit, so I did develop a wee twang at one point.
Twang. But no, hopefully if there's any like listeners from across the pond, they think we sound like sexy. But I doubt it.
You never know. So overall, you enjoyed it. Was there anything you didn't like about the first 3 episodes?
Not really. Nothing I can think of off the top of my head.
I liked
Um,
the first 2 episodes, but I feel like the third episode, and I'm sure a lot of people say the same, is where it kind of really got moving. I didn't not enjoy the first two, but I really started to like it. And spoiler alert, I really started to love it tonight.
yeah. Well, I really like the kind of Premor operation and
Yes.
their tactics when they moved in and out of town and stuff. I really like that. Actually, the one thing like you're saying I didn't really enjoy was I kept seeing British actors that I've seen in like soap operas and stuff, like you were talking about
Yeah.
in the last episode. Because I was like, that guy was in like Coronation Street or EastEnders. So I've seen them before, and there's 2 or 3 of them like that. Even Sergeant Caustic, what was his name in this? The wee stubby guy that does the speeches.
I love him. I think he's brilliant.
He's great, but he was in like EastEnders or something.
Do you know
And he was,
a belter I picked out tonight?
but
You know the guy that's in charge of the sector where Cassian commit the crimes?
aye,
He was the guy the in-betweeners asked for drugs in the gig episode. Remember they go to the bar and they're like, "Are you a drug dealer?" He's like, "Are you just asking me that because I'm black?" Do you remember the scene?
I do remember it. Yeah,
That's the
Well,
guy. How did you go from the in-betweeners to that?
you know, I watched him on TV. Have you ever watched a show called Taskmaster?
No.
So Greg Davies, the head teacher of In-Betweeners,
Yeah.
he hosts it and they do mad challenges.
Mhm.
And he was on it, the Imperial
I think he's
guy.
a rapper as well because I looked
He's
up
a
his
he is a
Wikipedia.
rapper.
He's a rapper,
And
yeah.
you know what? He's daft as a brush. He's so funny. So it's weird seeing him in a.
Aye. See, as soon as you know what I'm like. See, as soon as I saw him, I was like, I spent the next 10 minutes trying to remember who he was, and then 5 minutes trying to find out who the actor was, so I could just satisfy myself by knowing that he was in the Inbetweeners.
No,
But
yes, yeah, he's actually really funny. So it's weird seeing him in such a serious
yeah,
role.
he was good though.
He was good. He was good.
Really bottom.
Uh,
So we should probably get into the episode itself. And I'm trying to. I think this was probably my favorite episode
Yeah,
out of the four.
I did like this one. I was waiting. I can see that it's setting up the next couple episodes.
Well, what I've heard they're doing is there's like 4 3 episode arcs,
Right. Okay.
which I quite like because that's what Clone Wars was like a lot of the time. You would have like 3 episode arcs and some amazing arcs, which you now know about, which is great.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to go that way. It'll be pretty good because you'll know what to kind of expect. You know the time frames of things that happen. Um, so this is the kind of planning phase for their heist, wasn't it?
Yeah, so try and not go too linear, but obviously Andor starts off the episode with one of my Luthen. I think he's brilliant.
Oh, he was good in this episode, wasn't he? The way he plays the two characters.
He's good in all the episodes because I saw that in the trailer where he had that costume on, and I didn't quite because obviously I knew that Skarsgård was in the show, but I didn't know who his character was, so I didn't really think that he was playing like 2 different
Yeah.
personas.
Well, I seen that in the trailer too when he had the wig, and I thought he was going to be like a senator or something because he's going to be kind of throwing money about at Andor.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought he was going to be a senator with money. I didn't realize he was going to be like a kind of flamboyant art dealer.
Yeah, so he's basically trying to convince Andor to join. Andor's quite reluctant, but we know he'll eventually wear him down. But he gives him a blue kyber crystal,
Yeah, is that significant anyway in like other things? Because
well, it could potentially light a blue lightsaber. So maybe there's a fan theory out there that eventually ends up in one of the well-known lightsabers.
yeah, doubt it.
He's getting quite a lot of money. Is it basically like the real world equivalent of danger pay?
It's a bit more than that, I think.
What was he get? Was it 200,000?
200,000 credits, yeah.
Republic credits. So he eventually agrees. I thought there was quite a funny moment on the ship when Andor was trying to like sneak a look at something, and then the onboard computer is basically like saying yes, like what are you looking at, sort of thing.
Oh, was that when he was thinking? I thought he was thinking of maybe stealing the ship when Luthen was talking to.
And then,
What's his name? Vel.
Sorry,
Was it Vel he was talking to?
Vel, yeah,
the leader of the resistance group.
What I really like about this show is that I think the acting's really good and the conversations are really good, but it's quite intense. Like people are just kind of always at odds at each other, both within the Empire and within the rebel cells.
Yeah, it's quite a good kind of symmetry to it. Like also like when we're talking about the Imperials, I really liked the scenes in the ISB.
Oh yeah, the meetings.
I thought that even the building just looked cool.
I would watch a whole 50 minutes just of those meetings. Just really white and nice and crisp. I got quite a bit of hype when Coruscant, we went back to Coruscant for the first time, and well, not in a while. It was in Obi-Wan, but never mind. It was cool to go back anyway.
Yeah, it was. Home away from home. Yeah, it was good to. I was wondering if they're going to show more of it, but I'm happy with what we got.
Yeah. So basically, the mission is they're trying to steal. It's like a quarters, like a financial quarters amount of wages from
A
the
whole
Empire.
sector.
Yeah. So that's quite
That's
big.
nice.
They're what is it? They're so fat, and what's the bit in the trailer? It's like they're so fat and something.
Like happy with themselves or something.
That side, yeah. So that's quite intense. So basically, they're going for. Is that my good friend and colleague, Mr. Stoddart, told me that there's like some of the shows filmed in Scotland. That really did look like. Do you think that was in Scotland? The bits in the grassy plains.
Could have been. I thought when I seen it, I thought it could be, but I thought nah, it probably isn't. But it could very well be in Scotland.
It's like it's like the bit where our good friend Neil Boyle filmed his movie.
1815.
Kind of reminds me of that. And well done to Neil and all these. You probably won't be listening to this one, but well done on all your awards at your competition.
Yeah, he's picked up a fair few accolades, and quite rightly so. It's a cracker of a movie.
He's far too big for us now. So yeah, did you like the bit when the TIE fighters went overhead?
Yeah, it was only a brief scene, but yeah, I like how they've got. On you go.
I think she'll soften. Do you not think she was quite hard at first, but I think she'll soften towards him. I get that impression.
This is the love interest that I was talking about in the preview.
You think?
Telling you right now.
Okay. And what about the wee gang of? Obviously, she takes them to like their wee kind of hideout, and there's like a wee gang. But a few of them were quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit of a motley crew, isn't it?
I like the nerdy one. See when he was like basically like, "Don't touch that part of the model because it'll break." I actually laughed out loud at that bit.
Yeah, me and you had a wee laugh before the show, weren't we? I was like, that's like you, and he's like, yeah, that's me.
I liked him though. Like he's probably going to die now, but I liked him. I like him. There's just so much tension because one of the guys doesn't trust the newcomer because they're quite a tight knit group. But then there's the other guy that appears later, and he's also like, "What's going on?" But I feel like, see, when they had the meeting, the kind of planning scene for the heist, do you not think they seem to be softening a bit towards him?
I think so. I think because he's willing to work hard at it, they can see the value in him.
Mm-hmm. Do you not think? Because when you first see him, Diego Luna is really small. It was like just like a wee hobbit had appeared, and they were like, "What's this guy gonna do?" Do you know what I mean? He doesn't look like the Millennium Falcon. He doesn't look like much, but he's got it when it counts, kid.
He's a pocket rocket.
How cool is Diego Luna though? Like, I just want to hang out with that guy.
I would buy him a beer.
Diego, if you're listening, we'll always have you on. He wasn't.
But we can't afford you.
He wasn't listening. But we might be having a Star Wars related guest on in the near future. Watch this space.
Dun, dun, dun.
So right, we've talked about the kind of that main angle, but there's a whole kind of subplot, isn't there? Within there's two other really big bits to this episode. There's the female, I missed her name, the blonde Imperial officer.
Oh, I lost all their names because they're firing them out at that meeting.
So basically, the thing Andor eventually got, the box they call it, was stolen from her kind of area.
Yeah, the Star Path.
Yeah, and she's wanting to get that back from the guy at the Inbetweeners. I spent all last week calling Andor's foster mum Aunt Petunia, so we'll just pick where we know them from and go with that.
Marva.
I really like their. I just love the petty squabblings, like the office politics.
Oh yeah, you can imagine that happening. Just all these people with ambitions just overreaching.
Because it's the early days of the Empire. They're all kind of just jostling for position, aren't they?
Yeah. Although I thought the guy, the head, was it the Major? The guy you were talking about from Game of Thrones, the Meister. Yeah. I thought he was a bit kind of hypocritical because, like, the start meeting, he was like, "Oh, we need to fight the disease. We need to stop these things before they start," kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the woman Imperial officer, she was like, "I've got a gut feeling this is the start of a rebellion. All these things are happening." And he's like, "Oh, we don't work off of unverified information, blah blah blah." And it's like, a minute ago you just said you wanted to stop things before they start, and now it's like, "Oh, we can't do anything until it's all checked."
I don't think that's an error. I think that's just the arrogance of the Empire, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I didn't think it was an error. I just thought it was quite hypocritical of the guy to say.
I thought he was brilliant. See, when he basically went, like, "You don't need to worry about doing that report. I've reassigned it." Like, he's just so like brutal.
Is that what it's like in the school? Just cutthroat?
Yeah. No. I'm always on time, so. There was a bit which was quite interesting and not surprising in the Empire. It was basically saying that because she was female, that she was maybe had like a token position within, like she got that job because she was female, and she wasn't maybe going to be considered moving forward. Did you get that vibe from the conversation they were having?
Yeah, and then he kind of sounded a bit kind of condescending when he was talking about she done well getting prisoners or something like that, and we'll send more of that kind of work your way rather than this top tier stuff that everyone else should worry about.
It's true though, because there was no female Imperial officers in the original trilogy.
That's true.
If you think of the meeting.
Yeah, they pop up more and more though in the sequel trilogy, don't they?
I'm just loving seeing the office politics, the grumbles of rebellion, but even I just love seeing I was bamming someone up on Facebook because they were saying this show was slow, and the meetings are literally my favorite part. See, just all the wee nuggets that you get from it.
Yeah. No, I think I know like people are calling it boring and stuff, but like we've had like shows in the past, like you got Obi-Wan, which was like very fan servicey, like, and probably had unnecessary action in it.
Mm-hmm.
Made it like the meetings between Obi-Wan and Vader and stuff like quite early on in things. Whereas when you had like Boba Fett, where it was treading a fine line between not a lot happening and things just taking a weird kind of comedic turn.
Yeah, I don't think this show will have a major plot error like the Inquisitor angle, and it won't do like a Boba Fett and ditch the show for 2 episodes and come back.
Yeah. Well, you never know. It might turn into the Saw Gerrera show.
Nah, I'm looking forward to him coming in. I think he might be the contact. We'll obviously talk about Mon Mothma more in a minute, but I thought he was maybe the person she was talking about.
Possibly. Yeah, actually, it probably is, isn't it?
And something else I caught, I'm actually quite pleased with things I caught in this one. See, when they were talking about engineer going to the Scottish planet,
Yeah.
I think it's Krennic.
Maybe.
Because I'm listening to Catalyst on audiobook. You know, Catalyst, the prequel book to Rogue One.
But is Krennic not a military director?
No, he's to do with the engineers, like, or that's his kind of cover story.
Right. Okay.
So
in that vein, could it
he
be?
refers to himself as an engineer.
So in that vein, could it be also maybe like Galen Erso or something?
Yeah, I actually thought of Galen as well. I thought maybe Galen or Krennic, so I wouldn't be surprised to see either of those two. They haven't been in the promotional materials, but they would obviously want to keep a couple of characters hush hush.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool if it was one of them. Actually, that'd be amazing.
It would make perfect sense, though, because this is obviously a prequel series to Rogue One. So
yeah, the only thing, if it was to be Galen Erso, I'd imagine Andor and Galen wouldn't meet in any capacity because Andor didn't seem to really know who Galen was in Rogue One.
They don't have to meet. Like, there's all the rebel cells, and a lot of them. Like, there's so much secrecy between the different factions. Like, look at what's the girl? What's the love interest name again? Vel. She didn't have a clue about Cassian, and then she then pretended to the next batch of people that it was like her idea essentially. So like nobody really knows what's going on.
Yeah, and nobody talks about Luthen.
No. By the way, I forgot to do my bit. So I'm wearing my Game of Thrones t-shirt, which by the way isn't the only t-shirt I own. We record usually once a week. So I do change. I was going to change into my Star Wars t-shirt, but I forgot to. So I'll just show it instead.
Good save.
Yeah, I just totally forgot about that. So big bit I've been looking forward to discussing is the Mon Mothma side of the episode.
Yeah, that was. I loved the her in the art gallery.
Yeah, so we obviously spoke last week about the fact that it's the same actress from Rogue One, it's the same actress from the Revenge of the Sith deleted scene. Actually, we spoke about that in the preview, didn't we?
Yeah, preview. Yeah.
She's brilliant, isn't she? Like she's just very charismatic, very powerful, plays the role well.
Yeah, but you can tell she's fearful when she's talking to Luthen about how there's so many spies about.
Yeah, and when she got back into her space car. Yeah, space taxi. She did look really on edge, and I think that really contributes to the tone of the show. Like, although we know it's weird with Star Wars. Like, we know where we're going to end up, but I'm still like on edge. Like, oh, what's going to happen? Like, got that feeling.
Yeah, because you got like in the art gallery, you seen Luthen and Mothma playing like two different characters. Like they're playing their cover story in front of the new kind of chauffeur, and then when in the back room, they were all very casual. And then when they had to go back out, they turned on their personas again, and it was really cool to watch that.
It was quite clever how his like sales assistant essentially distracted the pilot so they could sneak away unnoticed. Like as soon as that happened, I knew they were going to go into the back and have that conversation because they posted a clip of that conversation. I actually watched that like yesterday.
Oh, okay. So
there was a wee bit about that.
Yeah.
So basically, Lucen wants more money, and she can't really get it because they're like watching the banks a lot and like putting new staff in, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's turned into a right totalitarian state.
Regime. We're using big words today. I really liked the scene. Well, one, I don't think anyone knew she was married. It was a bit like when Jessica Pearson announced she was married in Suits.
Yeah, although to be fair, I think she should get the divorce papers in pretty quick.
Yeah, I thought the scene was quite funny though. Like, so one, it was a proper couple dynamic. Like, I'm sure we can imagine having like a similar conversation with Scarlett and Alien if it's something that they've told us is happening and we've forgotten, or vice versa. And obviously she's forgotten. I actually picked up some good Easter eggs in this episode. Sly Moore. Do you know they mentioned some names that were invited for dinner?
Yeah.
Sly Moore's like the kind of creepy. It's one of like Palpatine's entourage. It's like bald, white skin, and like kind of robes. You've probably seen the character before in the background of like the Senate scenes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, after we finish this one, look up Sly Moore, and I'm sure you'll recognise.
Okay. I'll have a look.
They mentioned Utapau. There was like one of the items in the store was from Utapau.
What? What's from Utapau?
It was like from there, like.
Oh, okay.
And they also seen the kind of airport or spaceport scene.
Yes.
They mentioned Hosnian Prime over the Tannoy.
Oh, what's that from?
That's the capital world in the sequels. The one that gets destroyed by Starkiller Base.
Oh, right, okay.
What they start doing, which actually happens in the real world as well. Are you familiar with Asion?
Asion? No.
That's the right pronunciation. So basically, Asia have a version of like the EU,
Right, okay.
Vietnam, etc., and they rotate the kind of chair of the regime every year. So like if there was like a natural disaster or war, it's not just stuck in one place. And that's what the New Republic do. They change the capital every year. So in the future, it's not Coruscant. It goes between different places.
Oh, okay. Got you. That makes sense then. I like that we tidbit though, because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't talk about the deputy inspector.
He's cool.
I like him, but I don't know what's going on with him. He
Okay.
got fired.
All right, sorry, I thought we were talking about the Scottish guy. So you mean the guy who was like covering in charge?
Yeah.
So he's basically went home, got slapped by his mum, then got a hug. Do you think he'll defect maybe to the rebels?
I don't know, because I feel like the whole point of him doing what he did was because Andor killed 2 of his men. So
we've not seen
and he killed more of his men. I think he killed like 2 more of his men. So I don't know if he would jump to Andor's side because of that. I think he'll maybe have a vendetta against Andor and maybe hunt him down himself.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know if he would have the skills to, because he looked pretty fresh out in the field when he was trying to fight.
We'll definitely see him again. I really hope we see. Is it Mosk? Yeah, I really like him. I hope we see more of him. I really like the scene when they're getting interrogated about what happened, and the guy who basically went on holidays like, I was nothing to do with this.
I wasn't even here.
I generally, that was the next thing I wanted to mention is I think the humor has been so good. I think it's so little, but it does land. Like the bit in the ship, the dinner scene where he's like, "I'll sit you at the boring end of the table" and things like that. And Cassian had a wee moment towards the end of the episode where he basically was given like a book of phrases to memorize for the next day, and he's like, "Can I finish my dinner?" Like, I don't know. There's just I've really enjoyed the humor so far. It's a bit more. It's better than like sequel humor.
Yeah, it's like not smacked in your face. like really in your face, obvious. It's kind of just like dry, subtle humor.
Yeah. No, it's definitely been episodes 1 and 2. I liked it. Episode 3, I started thinking, right, this could be good. This is the episode that really suckered me in. I just loved all the Imperial stuff with Mon Mothma, the grumblings of rebellion. It really does remind me of the third Hunger Games book, which is like the movie that was split into two, and just with the rebellion kind of appearing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I have high hopes for this. Quite looking forward to the next couple of episodes if this heist's going to go ahead.
And we still got 7 episodes to go. This takes us into late November.
I know. Well, hopefully the viewers are enjoying listening to the reviews because we're going to be on Andor for a while.
I'm enjoying talking about it, and I must admit, I have enjoyed. At first, I thought by the time we got to this point, I'd be quite tired, but I have actually enjoyed talking about the 2 shows in the one, and also talking about other shows and films that we're watching as well. We need to think of a brand for this episode because I don't want to call it House of the Dragon episode 6 and Andor episode 4 review. It doesn't really roll off the tongue, but we kind of need to have the names in there to get the algorithm.
House of Andor.
Nice. I like that.
That's what I'm here for.
House of the Cassian Andor. So next week we might be we're scheduling at the moment, aren't we? We're going to work with a Stu World Order and do a review of Halloween.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
That'll come out either like this Monday coming or next Monday, just depending when we do it.
Yeah. No, quite looking forward to that. I really like Stu's podcast. If anyone's ever looking for it, Stu World Order. He's got his own website and stuff like that as well. He just talks about anything, and he does a lot of comic book movie reviews, and they're always just really good, really funny, and yeah, I think he'll have some quite passionate points about Halloween. I think it's one of his favourite movies.
I listened to the one he did, the first Spider-Man movie.
Oh yeah, he is it, didn't he?
I am. It'd be cool for us to go on his one day as well, do the reverse.
Oh, plugging yourself for somebody else's podcast on your own podcast, Jesus.
That's layered. So we should probably start closing this up. We just over the hour, but I think we can talk about, before I forget, I feel quite guilty during the economic crisis, but if you've got some pennies to spare, you could buy us a coffee, even though I don't like coffee, I like tea. But yeah, we'll put in
buy us an iron brew.
Buy us a cup of buy us some Tunnocks tea cakes. Anyway, just donate all your money to this podcast so we can get some flashy lights and so that we can get some cool microphones.
Yeah, that's I hate having to say myself for these kind of things.
It's quite funny, by the way. I had to do something at work today. It was like talking about basically it's a thing that gets sent to parents where you talk them through like the course and the assessment and how they can support their kid. And I had to record it as a video, as like a voiceover. And doing this actually really helped. But as soon as I started doing it, I really wanted to just say, "Welcome to a Seismic Cinema podcast."
Put your feet up on your chairs and listen to your kids speak for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah. I made a couple of errors in it, but I just decided there's no such thing as perfection. So in terms of plugging the podcast, we are Seismic Cinema. As we said, we're 2 Scottish podcasters or YouTubers, depending on what day of the week it is, looking to make some kind of future potential income out of being podcasters and YouTubers. Yeah, that was really smooth. So anyway,
you make it sound so humble.
humble beginnings. So yeah, we're on YouTube at Seismic Cinema. We've now got 67 subscribers, which is 9 more than we had a couple of weeks ago. So thank you to those that subscribed. If you are listening which 70% of our viewers do. So they either just don't know where that button is, or they don't like us. But if you do like us and you're listening and you haven't subscribed, please click subscribe, because YouTube tells us on the YouTube Studio app these statistics. Also like this video and check out some of our other stuff. We've done plenty of Star Wars, plenty of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, including that random one that got 1,315 views.
Does that mean 1,250 people didn't like us and didn't subscribe?
I know, it's really sad, isn't it? But anyway, as long as we enjoy it, that's the main thing. So also, you can also listen to audio versions of our podcasts without our lovely mugs. So we are on Anchor, which we should probably plug Anchor, because we owe them a lot. Anchor is basically the reason we managed to even get this going. So thank you, Anchor. And thank you, StreamYard, for also supporting our faces.
Yeah.
We're also on...
Seeing all the other podcasts, like, they always have this big spiel at the start about how they should should go on Anchor. It's the best thing to do, blah, blah, blah. And then we're just like, yeah, Anchor's good.
Anchor is good. And so is Spotify, and so is Amazon Music, and so is Audible, and so is Google Podcasts, and so is Apple Podcasts.
And so is Domino's Pizza.
And so is Domino's Pizza. So yeah, make sure you follow us on those different platforms. Download, get in touch. See if you want to come on the podcast. See if you want us to come on your podcast. See if you have any thoughts about our views on House of the Dragon or Andor. And we should probably stop there, because we're very prone to rambling at the end of the podcast. So I think that's a good place to end. What do you think?
You're going to say the slogan?
The slogan is the power of not being able to read your own handwriting. See, I did your bit.
That is wrong.
I did your bit this week.
It's the power of rebellion.
Yes, and the power of getting slapped by your mum. Right, we'll finish off there. Thank you for listening or watching if you made it this far. And if you have made it this far, please get a hobby, because that's really sad.
Yeah, and don't be cheeky and get slapped by your mum.
Farewell.
Farewell.